What if I told you? The biggest enemy of your success isn't failure. It's your comfort zone. The soft pillow, the snooze button, the endless scroll, they're silently stealing your future. Arjun was a dreamer. Not the kind who chased dreams, but the kind who only talked about them. Every morning began the same way. His alarm would ring and he'd whisper the same 3 deadly words. 5 more minutes. 5 minutes turned into 30. 30 into an hour. And soon, another day was gone, wasted on comfort, excuses, and empty promises to himself. He wasn't dumb. In fact, everyone called him the lazy genius. He had talent, brains, and ideas, but no action. He'd watch motivational videos, get hyped for 10 minutes, then go right back to bed. He told himself, I'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow became next week, and next week became next year. One evening, his father walked into his messy room, clothes on the chair, laptop open, phone in hand, and quietly asked, Arjun, when will you start living your life? There was no anger in his voice, just disappointment, the kind that pierces your heart. Arjun didn't reply. He just sat there, frozen. That night, he couldn't sleep. His father's words echoed in his head again and again. He opened his phone, scrolled through social media, and saw his old classmates posting about their jobs, achievements, and travels. And there he was, lying in bed doing nothing. He looked at himself in the mirror, dark circles, tired eyes, and a face full of regret. He whispered, What have I done with my life? It hit him hard. He wasn't lazy because he couldn't work. He was lazy because he was afraid. Afraid to fail, afraid to try, afraid to leave his comfort zone. That night, he turned off his phone and said to himself, Enough. I'm done being lazy. I'll prove to myself that I can change. And for the first time in his life, he didn't just say it, he meant it. That was the night the old Arjun died, and a new one began to rise. The next morning, Arjun's alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. for a moment. His old habits tried to pull him back, that cozy blanket. That soft pillow, that sweet whisper saying, Sleep a little more. But he remembered his father's eyes. That look of disappointment burned in his memory like fire. He sat up, rubbed his eyes, and said quietly, Not today. His body felt heavy. His mind screamed, You can't do this! But his heart replied, Watch me. That day, he started small. He made his bed, something he hadn't done in months. He did 10 push-ups, arms shaking, sweat dripping, but he did them. He opened a book and read just 1 page. Not because he loved reading, but because he wanted to fight his laziness. The first week was brutal. He felt tired, unmotivated, even hopeless at times. But every night he reminded himself of one simple rule. I just need to be 1% better than yesterday. And that's how real change happens. Quietly, slowly, painfully, one small step at a time, days turned into weeks. The urge to give up never disappeared, but something inside him started to shift. Every morning he woke up early. Every workout he finished, every book he read, it built his confidence. Brick by brick, one afternoon, his friend Rohan came to visit. Bro, what's gotten into you? You're a completely different person. Arjun smiled, wiped the sweat off his face, and said, The old Arjun died the day he got tired of his own excuses. Those words hit hard because they were true. He started applying for jobs, learning new skills online, and taking care of his health. He wasn't chasing perfection anymore. He was chasing progress. And slowly, life began to change. His body became stronger. His mind became sharper. His soul lighter. He realized that laziness wasn't his problem. Fear was. Fear of failing. Fear of judgment, fear of hard work. And once he stopped fearing effort, laziness lost all its power. Arjun was no longer running away from life. He was finally running toward it. Months passed. The boy who once couldn't wake up before noon was now up before sunrise, running, learning, growing. Arjun's days were no longer wasted in front of a screen. They were built around discipline, growth, and purpose. Every morning, he reminded himself of one thing. Discipline will take me places, Motivation never could. He had changed. Not suddenly, but steadily. One morning, he got a call. It was from a company he had applied to months ago. They wanted to interview him, Arjun smiled. He didn't panic or doubt himself. He was ready. He walked into the interview, confident but humble, calm but powerful. When they asked, "What motivates you?" he simply replied, "The fear of being the same person I was yesterday." Weeks later, he got the job. Not because he was the smartest, but because he was the most consistent. But that wasn't the end of his story. It was just the beginning. A few months later, Arjun was invited to speak at a youth event. The same boy who once hid from life was now standing on a stage, sharing his journey. He looked at the crowd. Young faces, tired, lost, scrolling through their phones, just like he used to. He took a deep breath and said, "I wasn't born disciplined. I built it. I wasn't born motivated. I created it, and if I can do it, so can you." He told them how he started with small habits, making his bed, reading a page, doing one push-up, and how those tiny victories created a wave of unstoppable change. The audience listened in silence. Some had tears in their eyes. When the event ended, his father walked up to him. His eyes weren't disappointed anymore, and they were proud, shining with emotion. He placed his hand on Arjun's shoulder and said, "You've proved yourself, son." Arjun smiled and replied softly, "No, Dad. I didn't prove it to you. I proved it to myself." That's when he realized the greatest victory in life isn't over others. It's over yourself. Because when you conquer your laziness, you don't just win the day, you win your destiny.